Subscribe to our Stock Movers Reports. Listen for 5-minute audio reports of the biggest winners and losers in the marketplace here. So looking forward here, let's check in with Nathan Dean here, Bloomberg Intelligence Senior Policy Analyst on pot stocks, cannabis. Mr. Trump has a new view potentially of kind of how these things should be regulated. Nathan, what do you make out of some of the commentary from President Trump about the cannabis business?
Yeah, so, last night there was been reports that President Trump is going to issue an executive order declaring that marijuana is not known as a Schedule I drug like other really hard narcotic drugs to something that's like Schedule III. Think of Tylenol with codeine. Now, what this does is that moving from Schedule I to Schedule III lowers the tax rates, something called 280E, for a lot of marijuana businesses out there. Currently, they're around 40%. This puts it around 10 to 15%. So there's significant tax savings here. Now, the issue is that the Department of Justice and the DEA had embarked on a rulemaking process to do this. It stalled when President Trump won the election. It was actually started under the Biden administration. And there's been questions on whether President Trump would restart it. Now, according to the news reports, President Trump's going to issue an executive order to reschedule it. He can't do that unilaterally. He can't do it via executive order. But I do think that you are going to see this process continuing or restarting in the first part of next year. They're about 70% of the way. So if they want to move fast, they can reschedule the drug probably by mid-2026 and then start leaving that tax relief for those companies.
Now, Nathan, we've seen a lot of these cannabis stocks like really rise and fall along with the tide of policy here. What's different about this time around? Is there actually some kind of tangible policy benefit that, as you mentioned, could come out within the first quarter of next year?
Yeah, we like to say that these stocks have hot sauce because with any policy movement, these things go up. Lots of volatility. MSOS is up 35% just off of last night's reports. There's two ways to think about reschedulization. One is the actual impact to the businesses. Now, reschedulization does not mean legalization, does not mean in terms of increased market share or anything like that. Just provides tax relief for a lot of the mom and pops out there and potentially could increase consolidation in the market. But we would also warn is that there's a lot of retail investment in this who are just trying to buy the dip. I mean, there are other companies like the Canadian pot stocks not really impacted by this move, but they're also moving up and down with this policy decision as well. So there's a lot of retail sentiment about this as well. But again, at the end of the day, this does not bring legalization, nor does it bring the ability to get this out there at a federal level so you can start growing market share. This is all about tax relief and sentiment going into other debates in 2027 and 2028.
Are there plans to make this get a federal approval for federal legalization for cannabis?
I don't think so. In fact, we put that at a 30% chance of success before 2028. Even though you are seeing incremental steps to open up the idea of the marijuana market, plus it's legal or decriminalized in 40 states plus the District of Columbia, there's a lot of folks in the Senate who are just not on board with this idea. A couple of weeks ago, there was a vote on hemp, not marijuana, but hemp. There was a related vote. And the Senate overwhelmingly voted to actually restrict more hemp regulations and actually decimated a hemp industry that was really reliant on further opening of this. So marijuana legalization at the federal level is really not going to happen, I think, anytime soon. And we'll have to see what happens in 2028 and beyond. But just you need a lot of folks in the Senate to change their mind.
All right, Nathan, thank you so much. Appreciate that. As always, Nathan Dean, Senior Policy Analyst at Bloomberg Intelligence, getting the latest update on the weed market here. Let's switch gears and go